All right, everybody. So last thing I want to show you is something called Slicer. Now, Slicer is basically, well, let's go to it and we'll just read what it says. So it's on your insert ribbon. Same place where pivot table was. And if you go over to the right here, you see something called Slicer. If you click on that, now, actually, I should warn you, before you click on that, you want to select which charts you want to apply this to. So let's just hover and let's figure out what Slicer does, first of all. So Slicer is basically a filter data visually, make it faster and easier to filter tables, etc. So rather than somebody, so we have some nice charts here, rather than somebody having to go to the source data, filter it, make some adjustments, they can just apply it right here. Now, you can click on multiple charts and apply Slicer to all of them. In our situation, though, we don't really have a lot of common data, like with between our different charts. I mean, this one has to do with the buyer type. This one has to do with the agents and their average commissions. This one has to do with the status type. So there's no correlation between all three of these. So it makes it a bit tougher to choose a slicer that will apply to everything. So instead, we're just going to choose one. But certainly, if you had a little bit more complex dashboard, where say you had commission earners, and then you had a second report that was sort of average final price by agent, then you could do something where you could create a slicer where you could filter it by the agent. It would apply to both of them. So actually, speaking of, let's apply the slicer just to this. So I'm just choosing this one report. I'm going to click slicer. Now it brings up this drop down box. Now you might recognize these. Each of these is the categories, the column headers, if you will. So basically, we're going to give somebody the ability to filter out based on these different things. So just to warn you, each of these that we choose is going to create its own special little box with the list of the filters it can apply. So you don't want to choose too many of these. You really need to think, well, what would somebody want to filter by? So let's choose agents. So even though we have top 7, and you see it's a light gray, it's because we've already filtered out. If you remember, we only have our top 7. Maybe we want to give people the ability to look at more people. In that case, the top 7 kind of heading wouldn't really apply, but for just demonstration purposes, let's do that. There's not much else on here that would really apply. Perhaps buyer type, like maybe we would want to see different agents for specific buyer types, etc. For now, I'm just, I'm going to keep this very simple. Actually, I will include buyer type. I'm not sure that it will work, and maybe offer status. Okay, so you see it threw in 3 boxes here. Now you can move each of these. So let's move this and this. And this is, again, part of just your planning. Like, how do you want this report to be laid out? Do you have enough real estate to make this look good? So you'll notice, so remember, everything is related just to this chart. So in that case, actually, you probably would, if you were truly doing this, you'd want to put these kind of maybe next to this, and then these charts off to the side. So it's only giving you options. Anything that's kind of got the blue shading means it's an option that can be clicked or unclicked. Things like bogus are already filtered out, so that's why that's not available. So as well, we have this checkbox here. So right now, everything is selected that is currently being shown. Now, if we just click, so let's say we just click first time buyer. So our report changed drastically because now it's saying, well, for first time home buyers, here's the top commission earners and here's what their commissions were. If you click here, you notice it'll change, and this report is changing with each one that we click on. And it's changing quite a bit, right? There's definitely different makeup of who earned commissions based on our buyer type. Now you can choose multiple of these, and the way you do that is you see this little checkbox that says multi-select, Alt-S. If you just click that and you see it's kind of highlight yellow now you can select multiple items. Same thing would happen over here. So even though this says top 7 commission earners, and currently it picks everybody, and then it just displays the top 7. We could though, oops, I kind of moved that inadvertently. Let me just scoot back over here. We could filter out, pick certain agents. So only Chris Benjamin, that's me. I didn't actually earn this commission. I just put my name in. But since I've only chosen myself, I mean the top 7, but there's only one agent that it's allowed to reference. So maybe we also want Kelly Engel, but if you remember, we need to apply multiple filters. So maybe we choose, now again, say we only choose 7 people. Well, they're going to be the top 7 because there's only 7 options. So a filter like this, you actually probably would want everybody. But maybe you want to like filter out no agent, etc. Now these people didn't have amounts, and that's why they're grayed out, because there's nothing, adding them wouldn't add any value. Now you'll see we kind of goofed up our top 7 because now there's no longer that filter applied. So really, to get that back to top 7, we would have to go back here, and you see now this as well. So I should mention as well, anything you do over here, what it's really doing is referencing the source data. So it's coming here, and it's just making changes to this. It's really just applying filters to this data, which is then being reflected on this graph, which is also copied right here. So we could certainly come back here, change this back, value filters, top 10, make this top 7 again, and hit OK. You'll notice this is good, and that would be what we see here. So just be forewarned, you're kind of entering, I would say, dangerous territory, but you can kind of mess up, and especially that no longer obviously would apply to the title. Same thing with offer status. So we could say, right now it's just saying, hey, all offer statuses. Yeah, I want to see the commissions. Makes sense that submitted doesn't have a commission type, nor does, bogus, property not active, submitted, awaiting buyer. So anything where the deal isn't actually finished, there wouldn't be a commission. Closed, definitely. Some of these, for whatever reason, there was a commission involved. So, but you could choose different ones, and again, that's going to pick your data. And as you choose different ones, you see these are changing as well, and I mentioned that before. So anything that's closed, it's only going to let you choose from closed deals where these agents had closed deals. This agent didn't have a closed deal as well. There was no bogus under closed, so makes sense. Again, can highlight multiple items using our yellow, and in this case we want this. So just kind of shows you the power, guys, of and then we can choose these, but they're all light blue because there's no options. So that's Slicer, guys. I mean, it just shows you the power to give somebody the ability to filter without having to expose them to actual, this information. If you want to, and maybe you just like give them the agent. So maybe it's no longer top 7 commission earners. It's just commission earners. It had that messy graph, but then you give them this filter that they can mess with, and they can pick and choose from there. So that is how you apply Slicer, guys. And like I said, you could apply it to all of them. If you had more relevant kind of data, that would make sense.